Have you ever wondered what happens when the most unlikely person in a company dares to challenge the system and wins? This isn't just a story about a cleaning lady or a CEO. It's a powerful journey of courage, judgment, and unexpected alliances that will change everything you think you know about success and fairness. What happens when a young single mother stands up for herself and all the working parents struggling in silence? And how does a high-powered executive react when he sees the true strength behind the uniform? Stay with us because what unfolds will surprise you, touch your heart, and leave you questioning what really matters in life and work. If you think this story is just about business, think again. This is about humanity, resilience, and hope. Watch closely because the moment that changed, everything is coming up next. At dawn, the city of Portland was just stirring to life. The soft hum of early morning traffic blending with the distant calls of awakening birds. In a small, humble apartment nestled in the Willow Creek neighborhood, Lila Harper stirred awake, her eyelids heavy from a night spent chasing restless dreams. The weight of exhaustion hung on her like a stubborn shadow she couldn't shake off. Beside her in a carefully arranged crib, she had made herself little Sadie Harper, lay curled up, her tiny fists pressed against her rosy cheeks, breathing peacefully, despite the chill that seeped through the thin apartment walls. 4 months old, fragile, yet fierce Sadie was the world to Lila. "Good morning, my sweet girl Lila," whispered softly, pressing a gentle kiss to Sadie's warm forehead. The small space around them was modest, a 2-room apartment on the ground floor, but it was all Lila could afford on her cleaning assistant salary at Brightview Technologies, the towering glass office building where she worked. The morning routine began quickly. In the cramped kitchen, Lila poured herself a cup of strong black coffee, the bitter taste a small comfort amid the quiet chaos of her life. Luxuries like sugar had long been set aside since Sadie's arrival. While waiting for the water to heat, she ran through her mental checklist for the day. Arrive at Brightview by 8 a.m., clean 3 floors of offices, tidy the conference rooms, and hope that the breast milk she'd pumped overnight, now stored safely with her neighbor, would be enough to keep Sadie fed while she was away. Mabel Jenkins, her elderly neighbor just next door, was the lifeline that made all this possible. A widow in her 60s with no children of her own, Mabel had volunteered to care for Sadie during Lila's working hours. "Children bring joy into a home," she'd say, with a smile, never accepting anything beyond a simple bag of groceries for her kindness. At precisely 7:15, Lila knocked lightly on Mabel's door. The familiar smile that greeted her was a balm to her weary soul. "Good morning, dear. How did you sleep? Has Sadie been fussy?" Mabel asked, her voice warm. Lila handed over the diaper bag, pomade, and 2 bottles filled with freshly pumped breast milk, her heart both heavy and hopeful. "Better than last week." "She only woke twice," Lila replied, forcing a smile. Mabel cradled Sadie with the tenderness of a lifelong mother, and the baby settled quietly in her arms, comforted by the presence of the woman who'd become family. "Don't worry. You focus on work. If anything happens, I've got the company number. Just ask for Clara. She'll get in touch with me." Lila hopped on her bicycle, the morning air crisp against her face, savoring the fleeting moments of peace before the day's demands engulfed her. The 15-minute ride to Brightview Technologies was a brief escape, a solitary journey through streets slowly waking to the rhythm of the city. Brightview's gleaming glass facade loomed ahead, a symbol of success and stability that felt miles away from Lila's reality. Employed there for 2 years first as a contracted cleaner, then hired directly, she knew every nook and cranny of the building. The glossy conference rooms on the 2nd floor, the perpetually messy break room, the bathrooms that required constant attention. At the reception, Clara Dawson, the cleaning supervisor, greeted her with a nod. Clara, a woman in her mid-40s with sharp eyes softened by years of understanding, recognized the strain hidden beneath Lila's determined smile. "How's your little one?" Clara asked gently. "Growing every day, thanks." Lila said, her smile faltering for a brief moment. "Mabel's a blessing." Clara's gaze lingered, sensing the invisible burdens Lila carried: responsibilities, sacrifices, and the constant balancing act of motherhood and survival. "You know, if you ever need anything, I'm here," Clara offered. "I know." "Thank you," Lila replied, her voice barely above a whisper. The day progressed as usual, with Lila tackling her tasks meticulously. The executive floor, usually bustling, was almost empty. The company's owner, Grant Mitchell, was away at a conference in Seattle. The large office, with its mahogany desk and floor-to-ceiling windows, was a silent space where Lila sometimes allowed herself to dream. What if she could work here? What if her life could be different? But such thoughts were fleeting, chased away by the pressing reality of unpaid bills and a hungry baby. Around noon, her phone buzzed urgently. Seeing Mabel's name on the screen sent a jolt through Lila's chest. "Mabel, what's wrong?" she asked, her voice tight. "It's Sadie," Mabel said, panic threading her words. "She's been crying for 2 hours. She won't take the bottle. She wants to nurse." "I don't know what to do." Lila's heart plummeted. "I can't leave now. You know how it is." "I know, but this isn't normal. Please, can you come?" Lila's hands trembled as she swallowed her fear. "Okay, let me talk to Clara. I'll figure something out." She found Clara immediately and explained the situation. Clara didn't hesitate. "Let's use Grant's office. It's empty and private. You can nurse there. I'll keep watch." Relief washed over Lila, grateful for Clara's kindness. When Mabel arrived with Sadie, the baby's red tear-streaked face softened the moment Lila took her into her arms. Sadie latched on immediately, sucking with desperate hunger as Lila whispered soothing words. For the first time in hours, peace settled over them. Outside, Clara stood guard, ready to shield the fragile sanctuary they'd created. The tranquility shattered when the elevator dinged unexpectedly. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Grant Mitchell appeared, briefcase in hand, back earlier than expected. His sharp eyes caught the scene. Lila nursing her daughter in his office, Mabel watching nearby. Instead of anger, something unexpected stirred in Grant's gaze. Understanding, maybe even admiration. Lila's cheeks flushed crimson as she fumbled for words. "Don't stop," Grant said softly. "Take all the time you need." This moment, raw and human, was a turning point for Lila, for Sadie, and for the powerful man who suddenly saw them not as employees and dependents, but as people bound by love and struggle. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. What would you do if you were in Lila's shoes, caught between survival and dignity? Have you ever witnessed a moment that changed your perception of someone forever? How important do you think empathy is in the workplace? Share your thoughts below. If this story moved you, comment 100 and tell us where you're watching from. The unexpected encounter in Grant Mitchell's office sent a shockwave through Lila's world, but it didn't stop the challenges piling up. The days that followed were a whirlwind, a collision of hope, doubt, and harsh reality. Grant's unexpected compassion that afternoon left Lila shaken but hopeful. For the first time, someone in power saw beyond her job title, a cleaning assistant, and recognized her as a mother fighting tooth and nail for her daughter. Yet the fragile hope was tempered by the stark realities awaiting her back at the office. Word travels fast in places like Brightview Technologies. Within days, whispers began circulating through the corridors. Rumors of Lila nursing her baby in the CEO's office stirred a mix of sympathy, envy, and suspicion among co-workers. Some saw her as brave, others whispered about favoritism. The delicate balance between respect and resentment began to tilt precariously. Lila, however, chose to focus on the opportunity Grant had hinted at, the chance to contribute more meaningfully to the company. He had proposed she help develop a new employee benefits program, drawing on her firsthand experience as a working mother struggling to balance demands. It was a chance to break out of the cleaning role to prove her worth beyond the uniform. But the path was anything but smooth. On her first day working alongside the HR team, Lila stepped into the conference room with a folder full of research, determined to show she belonged. Yet the eyes she met weren't all welcoming. Some colleagues barely concealed their skepticism, their glances heavy with judgment. Margot, a senior cleaning staff member with a sharp tongue and long tenure, watched Lila with thinly veiled contempt. "Must be nice getting special treatment," she muttered to a coworker. The words hit Lila like a punch to the gut, but she held her head high, refusing to be defined by others' bitterness. The whispers grew louder. "You think she's sleeping with the boss to get ahead?" someone hissed in the break room. "That's why she's suddenly got an office and a project." Lila's heart pounded with a mix of anger and disbelief. Was this what her life had come to, fighting not just financial hardship, but the poison of suspicion and jealousy? The weight was crushing. Grant, however, was unwavering. He publicly defended her, reminding the leadership team that Layla's insights were invaluable precisely because she understood the struggles of the rank and file. His backing was firm, but it came with a price. One afternoon, as Layla was gathering documents in the HR office, Ricardo from finance approached, awkward and hesitant. "I don't mean to pry," he began, "but some folks are questioning this benefits project, saying it's too personal, that it might be a conflict of interest." Layla met his eyes steady despite the storm inside. "This isn't about me," she said firmly. "It's about creating something real, something that actually helps employees who, like me, juggle impossible odds. If that threatens people, maybe they need to look at their own priorities." Ricardo shifted uncomfortably but nodded, recognizing her resolve. But the office politics were only the beginning. At home, Sadie fell ill. High fever, inconsolable, crying, her tiny body fighting something invisible but fierce. Layla's stress skyrocketed. She juggled work and hospital visits, running on sheer willpower and a mother's desperation. Grant stepped in again, surprising her by insisting on covering the medical bills and personally arranging for Sadie's care at the city's best pediatric clinic. His involvement deepened from professional to personal, blurring lines Layla never expected to cross. One evening, after a long day at the hospital, Grant sat beside her on the cold waiting room bench. "You're stronger than anyone I've ever met," he said quietly. "I want to help you, not just with work, but in life." Layla looked at him, vulnerable yet defiant. "Why, you don't even know me." "I know enough," he replied, "to see the fight in you, and to know that you don't have to do this alone." Their connection grew in stolen moments, a shared smile, a glance, a hesitant touch. But outside the hospital's sterile walls, the shadows of gossip and judgment threatened to pull them apart. The tension reached a breaking point when Margot confronted Layla openly at work. "Don't think you're special," she spat. "You got lucky, but don't forget where you came from." Layla's eyes burned with tears she refused to shed. "I'm not lucky, I'm working. Harder than anyone here." The confrontation ignited a fire in Layla that no rumor could extinguish. She poured herself into the benefits project, crafting proposals that balanced compassion with practicality. She fought for healthcare that covered children, for flexible schedules, for parents, for daycare facilities within the company. Her presentations were met with mixed reactions, some skeptical, some supportive. But her passion was undeniable. Grant watched with growing admiration, silently pledging to stand by her side no matter the cost. As the project neared presentation to the board, Layla felt the weight of every whispered accusation, every sideways glance. The stakes were high, not just for her career, but for her dignity, her future, and Sadie's. One evening in the quiet of her apartment, Layla stared at Sadie's sleeping face, whispering a vow she barely understood herself. "I will fight. For you. For us." The battle ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Layla Harper was no longer just a cleaning assistant. She was a force to be reckoned with. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. What would you do if you were in Layla's position, facing harsh judgment while trying to rise? Have you ever experienced a moment where your worth was questioned unfairly? How did you respond? Do you believe true change in the workplace comes from those with the least power? Why or why not share your thoughts below? If this story inspires you, comment 100 and tell us where you're watching from. The day of the big presentation arrived, bringing with it a mix of anticipation, anxiety, and determination for Layla Harper. She stepped into the sleek boardroom of Brightview Technologies, heart-pounding but mind-focused. This wasn't just a project, it was a chance to prove that compassion and dignity could transform a workplace and maybe even a life. The board members sat in their leather chairs, some skeptical, others curious. Layla took a deep breath and began. She spoke with clarity and passion about the struggles of working parents, about the gaps in the current benefits system, and about the vision she had crafted, a benefits program that would include comprehensive health care for employees' children, flexible schedules to support family needs, and an on-site daycare center to ease the burden on working moms and dads. Her words were backed by data and heartfelt stories she'd gathered from colleagues, painting a vivid picture of need and hope. As she spoke, the room's atmosphere shifted. What started as polite listening turned into engaged discussion. When Layla finished, the silence was thick for a moment, Then a senior board member cleared his throat. Ms. Harper, your presentation is compelling. It's clear you've not only done your homework, but you understand the human element that numbers alone can't capture. Grant Mitchell, seated at the head of the table, nodded in agreement. Lila's insights come from lived experience, and that perspective is invaluable. Another executive added, if we implement this program, it could set us apart as a leader in employee care. It's a bold move, but one with significant potential. The board members conferred quietly, then one by one, they expressed their support. The vote was unanimous. Lila felt a wave of relief and pride wash over her. Her efforts had been recognized not because of who she knew or where she came from, but because of what she believed in and what she worked for. Back at the office, the news spread quickly. Some co-workers who had doubted her offered hesitant congratulations. Others softened their stances. Even Margot, the outspoken senior cleaner, who had been so harsh, approached Lila one afternoon. I was wrong, Margot admitted quietly. I let jealousy cloud my judgment. You earned this. You're making a difference. Lila smiled, the weight of months of struggle easing slightly. Thank you, Margot. It means a lot. Outside, the office life was changing too. The daycare center opened its doors, laughter and tiny footsteps filling the once empty space. Lila watched Sadie play with other children, her eyes bright with joy and security. Grant and Lila's relationship deepened, built on mutual respect and shared dreams. Their connection became a quiet anchor amid the storms of life. He wasn't just her boss anymore. He was a partner, someone who saw her strength and stood beside her. One evening, as they sat on Lila's small balcony overlooking the city skyline, she whispered, I never imagined this life for myself. But now I can see a future, one filled with hope for Sadie and me. Grant took her hand gently. You showed me what really matters. Love, family, purpose. I'm grateful for you. Lila knew the journey wasn't over. There would always be challenges, but she felt ready. She had reclaimed her story, turning hardship into empowerment. Her message was clear: no matter where you start, with courage and support, you can rise. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. What emotions did Lila's journey stir in you? Do you believe that workplaces are changing to truly support families? Why or why not? Have you ever had to fight against judgment to pursue your dreams? Share your story below. If this story moved you, comment 100 and tell us which country you're watching from. Don't forget to share this video with friends who need a reminder that hope and resilience can change everything.